Baby Metal song, the Slaughter to Prevail song. Champ, you want to lead us off with that?
Do I? I don't know. I really like that song. Let's throw that out there. How'd you guys feel about the song overall before we just jump into talking?
I love it. I love it. I think it's a great song. It's just so funny how some of the stuff that first comes to our head, it's silly. It's silly sometimes. We're like, for instance, I'm like, this is one of my favorite collabs, and I listen to it again, I'm like, you know, probably not like top 3, you know, it's just like in the moment, you know, when we're reacting to the song and listening to it. But a lot of people were very, very upset with us not realizing certain things, but it's in the moment you're trying to listen to it. And when I go back and listen to the song, I just couldn't believe some of the comments about you. Like, you're not even listening. I'm like, oh wow, this is crazy. This is crazy.
Yeah, we're isolating the tracks, but we're not paying attention to it. We're just isolating it for fun.
Just simping at its finest, for sure.
Yeah, listen, the fact of the matter is, if you were to listen to us and our overall sentiment behind what we were saying, at least from my perspective, Alan, you could put your own stamp on it yourself. I thought Momo sounded great. I thought that her screams were so much better than I expected them to be, because
I agree.
We've only heard her do really distanced in the background type of stuff before, where, to be totally honest, I wasn't even sure that was actually her, even though everybody kept telling me, but I wanted to see it actually happen for real. This one, it was clearly her vocals. They were on the forefront in several situations, especially in the second verse before Alex the Terrible comes in and does his own part by himself. She has her own part by herself, and it's very obvious that there's a huge difference between the two vocal styles. So you know Momo's doing that one, and that one felt way less produced than the first verse, which was obviously intentional. They were doing effects on the first verse for an enhancement of the song, not to try to cover her up. And verse, they didn't do it, and she came off great.
This is why I liked her vocals.
Thumbs up.
I liked her vocals because it wasn't the typical female screams we normally get when a female artist starts off screaming. It's always high pitch, always shrill, and I really appreciate like this girth that she has brewing underneath in her vocal cords that I think is going to be leveled up as she keeps practicing and going on. She already has this deeper scream than most female screamers. Let's compare it to Poppy. Poppy's great, but she has a higher, more shrill kind of scream, where Momo sounds like she's going to be more on the deeper end or like in that mid-range
from Henabia.
Yeah,
she kind of that lower register yell, almost growl scream.
I hear that,
and that I mean, and I love, everyone knows I love you, Kina, so I fuck with it. As far as like people enjoying the song, I love the song. There's no hiding that. But I do think it's important to say that there's a difference between the song, or there's an important distinction between the song and the music video, because standalone, the song it's kind of nonsensical. It's fun. It's kind of like that black baby metal where the lyrics don't really make any sense, but it's fun to listen to. It kind of checks a lot of boxes for me of what I want out of a baby metal song. Like, I don't need to understand it, but I like it. But this one had a music video that, in my opinion, is the best music video that they've ever done. I thought that was so much fun. Everything about it was just entertaining, especially the training and all the little hidden Easter eggs and stuff like that they did.
I like that there's a storyline. It's like anytime Baby Metal puts like a storyline into their videos, it always enhances it for me. And they've done that obviously before. Like Karate video, for example, was full on like, we're going to take on these fucking bad guys type of thing. And this felt more like the training to get to that point. And I really like when they do that too. The Poppy one was also awesome. They had the monster coming up from the background. They've been doing really good on the music videos lately, actually. I agree with that.
Let me play some of these screams. I got them ready, isolated. Let's get
this. This is the first verse?
This is when they're...
First verse, right?
Yeah. When do the screams come in? It's
after this.
I love the distinct difference between her vocals.
It's so silly.
Momo's vocals and Mo's vocals. You get such a nice contrast with it. So I got the clean vocals on one track and the actual screams. So right there we have, there's saturation and distortion on her voice. That's how you're getting that noise. That is how you get that.
And it's like clearly done for that exact purpose. Like regardless of the band, right? If they were trying to go for that sound, they would have done the same thing. Even with somebody that's been screaming for 20 years, they might have tried to do the same, replicate that same sound, because that's what they want in that chorus section right there.
That when Alex Terrible comes in at the end and says, "Be metal." and then breaks it down. That's like the hardest fucking thing in this song, where he's ending his verse and he goes baby metal, and then the breakdown.
Here, let's bring in his
that was
scream.
insane.
When he said that, I called that out too.
He goes grizzly. I'm like, God damn.
It sounded so cool. I don't know. There's something about him shouting out baby metal, even though he's on the song. Just hearing him say baby metal was cool. Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, here it is. Okay.
It's that section.
Oh, it's so weird. I got to separate it up here. All right, cool.
I think that.
Wait for the second one.
And then, by the way, he has layers also. Like on the screen.
That's her.
I know it's her, but it still sounds like there's subtle like another scream underneath. I wish I could separate it further. I really wish I could have the multi-track to this. Like I do think it's her.
Disagree.
I do think it's her at the main loud level, but there's 3 other layers there, and there's just one that doesn't quite sound like her. That's why
I honestly think the one that you're hearing that doesn't sound like her is just her again with the same effect on from the earlier chorus,
which is totally possible. There could be. I know I do overly saturated. There's normally an overly saturated vocal line, and then you have a more raw scream on top, and then you mix in a compressed scream. You normally mix all 3 of them together. That's what I was thinking, because
that's what it sounds like.
It almost feels like there's another person, because when you add that saturation on there, it really changes it up a lot.
But that top layer, that he's obviously got effects on his voice too.
That one right there drops into the breakdown. That's
so great,
hard.
Dude. But I want to say before we move on from the Momo part, even with the layering, you can clearly hear the top layer of hers, which is the most raw layer of hers, and you can, if you really listen to it, you can separate which parts you're hearing. And I think her top layer sounds really good, especially for somebody like in the early phases of learning how to do this.
Okay, so is she doing this live? Has she been doing this live at the shows?
I don't think so.
So they're just doing backing tracks for it?
I believe so, yeah. But someone did say that on the Metaraji show, she did it live. Someone put that in the comments on this past weekend's radio show.
Yeah, Danger Mouse just said in the chat, listen to Momo on this weekend's Radio Momo. She does harsh vocals live. She's not bad.
All right.
So that's cool. So I guess we had to listen to some stuff to hear her do it live. I will say, Shade and I were talking about this a few days ago, just between the two of us, about how difficult it might be if you are in a setup like the BABYMETAL one has, and they have the little lapel mics on, and they're doing the heavy choreo, and just with the mixing and what they're normally singing in those situations, then switch it over to a scream live, there would need to be adjustments made based on like your mic placement or even the mic that you're using in order to do that properly. So I don't know what the logistics are of that, normally, but it might be difficult.
What you would do live is you would have backing track screams, but you still scream your main layer. Is how you would do it. So when bands go live and they do the screams, they always have their main scream, like their raw one that has coming through the mic. So they could do it still. It is more difficult with a lapel mic, but they could. She could do the scream through that, and then you just have backing track layers. They play the backing tracks anyway, so that's normally the most common thing to do. They do it with Sue Metal's vocals all the time. There's always a backing track layer, like for the harmonies and things like that for certain stuff. And that's how they could do it with screams. I know when the original singer for Dicodec, that's what we used to do. All the delay screams would be on the backing track. His main screams would be up front. And that's how you would pretty much do it. So you can get that whole album mixed feel, but still live at the same time because you still have the one live track. All in all, though, the song is fucking great. Other than the weird comments on that whole thing with the Momo actually singing it raw and all that stuff, that was just, I don't know, it was great.
Yeah, the weird comments, they don't detract from the song's enjoyment.
Yeah,
I said that I came out of
exactly.
that song going, that song was fucking awesome. I'm going to listen to it more. Yeah, I don't care. When we're talking about recorded music, especially, I assume that there's all kinds of shit on everything. You know what I mean? Post-processing, editing on everything that we listen to. None of that ever really even bothers me. We were talking about Poppy. She fucking had so much editing on her screams for like 4 years, bro. It was impossible to listen to unless you were okay with that, you know? And it's different
And now people complain that she's too raw.
Yeah, right.
Processing on it. Like now they're like, she's too raw. It just sounds like she's screaming at me. And I'm like, all right. Chat said it'd be really difficult to perform a song like Ich San or like San while like dancing and doing that and having the airflow to do proper screams.
Do you know any bands at all that do choreo throughout the entire song and scream? Because I can't name one. Like, this is the first band that I've ever seen try to do this. You know, like Baby Metal is they've broken new ground for the last 10 years, but they're doing it again by having like full on choreo throughout the entire song and doing screams in it. Like that's not happened before. It's not like we got these K-pop girls fucking doing their choreo and screaming in the middle of it. Nah, dude, like most of them aren't even live anyway.
It's a show. It's a show. All right. So what Baby Metal's doing is a show. It's not about doing raw or this is not the band for that. This is how it's supposed to be from its inception, right? It's to entertain us, and it's doing its job.
And the songs outside of the show are still fucking bangers. Go in with the expectations of what you know. If you look at it and you go, I'm going here to hear the most raw, blah, 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 it's not what it is. You're watching the WWE of music. Like, they're going to have the top quality production. All their money is being thrown into making this look and sound as good as it possibly can. It's like a totally different experience than just going to see any random band.
And actually, something that's cool that I've heard in recent like videos or the concerts that I've been to is they really do let Sue's raw vocals come through a lot more than I think they did in the past, or what it seemed to be to me when I watched all the live recordings. But of course, those are mixed after the fact. So these newer songs, like when I went to the last Baby Metal concerts, you could really hear her raw vocals. So I do appreciate that they prioritize that on top of the backing tracks, where other artists like this, they don't do that. They'll put the backing tracks higher than the raw vocals. And that's awesome that they still do that, because I think Koba knows the fans want that. They want the more raw side of things. And this is why we all love the live concerts way more.
Yeah, like that's a necessity to me. Like if it's the backtrack is way too loud to hear any live vocals, that ruins it for me. I need to hear at least something being performed. I can't just look at it. But they've done a really good job, especially if you listen to their official live performances. You could always hear their live vocals, even if there's backtracking there.
Yeah, I mean, there's some songs where you have to have it. Gimme Chocolate has that like weird part with like beep up beep up, like that's clearly not her doing
distorted.
That. Yeah, like that's not her.
No, that's raw vocals. What the fuck are you talking about? She's actually doing that.
She's underwater when she does that every time.
Don't tell me
you don't see it.
Don't tell me that's not real, Shade. That is 100% real. She has that skill, all right? This is what makes her special. That was a clip from the Solid Sound podcast that we do live every Sunday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Check out the full podcast for this clip right here. See y'all in the next one. See you.